Then the other rules is really this whole new section of the employer CAPS checks, and hopefully you guys were able to take a look at this, so you don't necessarily have to go through this line by line. But it essentially lays out the employers that will be required to complete a CAPS check, and these are the only employers that will be allowed to complete a CAPS check. If they're not on this list, they can't request that data. So that prevents people that don't have authority to have that information to get that information. The plan is for the information to remain confidential. So we'll share some very basic information with that employer. They'll either get a response that there was no hit, so that person is not in our system as a substantiated perpetrator, or they'll get a response that there was a hit. And if it's a hit, they'll get the date the report was received, they'll get the county that did the investigation, they'll get the mistreatment category, so abuse, neglect, exploitation, whatever it was, and they'll get the severity level, which is being proposed as part of the changes in Rule Packet 2. And so that's kind of saying if it's a substantiated allegation, what was the severity level based on kind of the impact to that client, something that child welfare has been doing. And the employers have asked for that to give them some kind of guidance. Because if it's something minor, they may choose to discuss with that applicant what that situation was. But maybe if it's moderate or severe, they're just not even going to consider that person. So anything that they get in that memo is confidential. The employer can only share it with the staff that are directly involved with hiring someone. We will have all of the employers that will be using this register with us so that we can confirm through CDPHE, through the State Unit on Aging for the AAAs, through HICPA for their PASAs, and through other agencies that we may have to work with to make sure that they are a licensed facility under these statutes and can get that information. They can tell us if they have someone else that will be doing that check for them. So for example, hospitals use temp agencies when they need to have someone come in and fill in. And so they would say, this temp agency will be doing background checks on behalf of our, and then the temp agency would do that CAPS check, allowing for them to place that person in any hospital that they might be needed, or any healthcare facility that they might be needed. We are going to be building an online request so that it will be instantaneous, no filling out paper forms, putting it in the postal service, waiting for that. So we're cutting out all the manual process that's currently being done on the trails check side of things. So we'll be able to get that request immediately, do the check, and then email back a response to the employer.
Okay, the check's not automated, just the request is automated.
Just the request is automated. The check will be manual because with us, we aren't always able to get like a unique identifying number for a perpetrator. For like a DORA check, for somebody that's a licensed professional, they have that license number, and so it's very easy to very simply put in that license number and get a response and get that exact person. And we don't have the ability to do that. And our confidentiality statute doesn't allow us to, for example, give a response back that, well, we have 5 John Smiths, here's information on these 5 John Smiths, you figure out which one it is, right? So we can't do that. So it will be a manual check. We have in the rules that we have up to 10 days to complete that check. That's in the statute. We hope that our checks will be done in significantly less time. Our hope is that we can do it within same day or next day kind of thing, but there's no guarantees until we know exactly what we're gonna be facing as far as the numbers of checks that come in. Folks will be asked to pay their fee online as they complete that form. There'll be a payment. There'll be a payment request for their payment information at that time. There is the option to do all this by paper for those people that want to do this by paper and send in a check. But we think the vast majority of people will use the online because it'll just be easier and quicker. What else is key that I missed? Oh, yes, and we are still looking into the possibility of doing a flag check so that when someone does the initial check and says, I'd like a check on Peg Rogers, and Peg Rogers comes up clean in the CAPS background check, but a month later I've hit somebody in my facility that I've been working in and now I'm substantiated, the system would alert the CAPS check unit that there was a new substantiation on a person that had a background check, and then the CAPS check unit can inform that employer.